What's up, guys? Welcome to the weekly Technicals live session for Sunday, March 17th, 2019. And we're currently looking at the dollar index. So for this upcoming week, I am still kind of on the fence with dollar index, more so thinking that we could just kind of continue range bound and consolidate in here. But something that I'm looking for is whether or not we can get below this 96.20 level, because if that happens, then that will basically open up a potential opportunity for us to run below 95.80, and then we'll likely get back below this monthly support down at 95.20, with the longer term targets being our daily equal lows that we were talking about. I believe at the end of 2018 we were talking about these, but this will definitely be the longer term draw on liquidity. The only thing I don't like about what we have here is we've got basically a triple top. So retail is now seeing this as strong resistance, and this sell-off here, retail probably shorted here, so there's a lot of liquidity built up above the markets. And if you're confused on what liquidity is, it's basically just where the market has its orders resting. So typically the market is going to look to seek liquidity. So if retail is shorting this market and they're selling, then their stop losses are going to be resting above here because they believe this to be true resistance. So the market typically will look to offset that by trading above it, clear out the orders, and then they'll have more of a willingness to trade lower. So because we are pretty deep within this range here, I don't necessarily have with 100% certainty that we are going to continue higher. And that's why I am kind of considering the potential idea that we could just move in a consolidation. And we do have FOMC later this week. So on Wednesday, you guys want to preferably stay out of the markets and really do any trading either Monday and Tuesday, but ideally be out of the markets before New York close on Tuesday. And then go, if you're looking to enter anything else, then I would do so after FOMC, so Thursday. But yeah, I would not look to be participating in these markets on Wednesday for FOMC. So make sure you guys are aware of that, and always do your research on the economic calendar. So if we look, you guys can see upcoming for Wednesday, right here we've got FOMC. So keep an eye out for that. We'll definitely see some volatility, I'm sure, in the markets. But outside of that, there's really nothing else to discuss in the economic calendar. We do have more of this Parliament Brexit vote. So, I haven't really been keeping up with this, and I don't know necessarily what it means specifically. But, we've had a lot of these Parliament Brexit votes. So this is definitely going to create some uncertainty and most likely potential volatility coming up for British pound. So be on the lookout for that. But as of right now, I'm mainly just staying sidelines on British pound and focus more so on dollar CAD and euro dollar. So for dollar index, like I mentioned, I'd like to see if we can get back above 97.70. But as of right now, I'm more so thinking that we could just move in a consolidation between 96.20 and 96.80. So keep those levels on your charts. But as I said, if we get below this low here at 96 big figure, then we'll likely start running for the liquidity at 95.20. Alright, so let's move on to euro dollar. And looking at this, pretty much the same idea. So we've traded all the way below here, got below our 12 big figure, 1.12 big figure, and we have since shown willingness to trade higher. So from a pure technical standpoint, it definitely looks like they are going to want to reach above this high here at 14.20. So I am more so on the bullish side for euro dollar this week. Obviously that will be dependent on what dollar index does, but as of right now, I am seeing euro dollar as potential bullish for the week, and we could get above 14.20 and then 1.1510. So there's definitely a lot of potential upside here on euro dollar, but in my opinion, it's going to be pretty much hinged on what dollar index does. So I will be watching this, but this will be one of the pairs I'm looking for a setup within. So ideally, I want to try to get myself positioned somewhere down here early on in the week, whether that be Monday New York session, Tuesday New York session, for a run above 14 big figure, lock in anywhere from 25 to 50 pips, and pretty much be done trading for the week. that's more so what I'm looking for, and that's the plan I'm going into this week with. But we'll see whether or not that happens. Again, it's going to be pretty, hinged on what dollar index specifically does, but I do see this as wanting to trade higher. So if we would have, came back all the way down into like 1250s or 1230s down here, then I would have considered a potential run lower. But as of right now, where we're at currently, it does look like they want to push above 1.1420, which could definitely lead us to that consolidation or further continuation lower on dollar index, and they keep that triple top at 97.70 in place for a later date. So just because they have a triple top or a double bottom in the market doesn't mean it has to be cleared out right away. Typically, we'll see them clear it out, relatively soon, but there are cases where the dollar, or not the dollar specifically, but any pair that has, double top, double bottoms, they could definitely hold that and run that liquidity at a later date. So think about it, the lower they move dollar index, then the more liquidity is going to be built up above those equal highs. So when they do decide to take it above there, the more money they will basically be clearing out. So consider that. But looking at euro dollar, I would be looking for a potential upside this week on 1.1420 ideally. And that will be based on the fact that if we get back below 1.12 big figure, then we're going to have to start looking left and look for the liquidity here at 1.11, 1.1030s. But as of right now, since we have shown a pretty nice willingness to trade higher, I'll be looking at the 1.14 big figure, and if they can get above 1.1420. So keep an eye on those levels for euro dollar. And if we move into British pound, now this one on a daily chart, in my opinion, looks very ugly. We have seen the strength that we were looking for. We've maintained above or right at that 1.30 big figure. So notice how significant and how influential that price level has been. But we could definitely see, large expansion to the upside on cable. So longer term, we could get all the way back above here, 1.40s. There's a lot of liquidity built up back above here. So we will see whether or not we can do that. But showing, based off the price action we've seen so far, it definitely looks like this thing wants to continue trading higher as well. So going into this week, I'll be looking for higher prices on cable. This will not be a pair that I'm trading though. It will just be something that I'm observing, around the different news events and things like that, especially with all the stuff we have going on with Brexit. But as of right now, my primary focus, as mentioned earlier, is euro dollar and dollar CAD. So those are clearer to me. Now, although this does look clear in terms of a technical perspective, it's really volatile right now, and you guys can see the daily chart. We're getting, ugly wick, big, huge candle. I don't want to get trapped up in none of this. Even though I would be a buyer, I don't want to have my stop loss all the way back below here, 300 pips away. Just not really my style of trading. But for the most part, we could definitely see continued expansion and, relatively strong expansion to the upside on British pound for this week, for example, and the next coming weeks and months. So keep an eye on that. But for the most part, I'll be looking for a potential swing trade on this once we get all this Brexit stuff behind us. And if we can show strength, I'll be targeting this 1.44 level way longer term. So I don't think we'll get above there, next week or anything like that. But longer term, next couple months, we could definitely see price really gain some speed and get us above these levels. So we'll see if that's something in the cards. But based off what we got now, you guys can tell that we've got a bullish market. We've got a low, high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. So we'll see if we get a continuation and how far they're willing to go. But at the very least, I would say we're getting back above 1.34 big figure, which is just over 100 pips for where we're at now. So still a good bit of expansion to the upside from what I see on cable. But as mentioned, this will not be something I'm participating in, at least until we get this Brexit stuff behind us. Alright, so let's move into Euro GBP. Now for this one here, we obviously know we're still looking for our 83 big figure. We've been calling this thing lower since we were all the way, really back up here within the 50% level. We've cleared out the equal lows, came all the way back up, traded into a bearish order block, continued to sell off. So still getting some pretty ugly candles on this, just like for pound, but nonetheless, we're looking for continued expansion to the downside. So I know I did say I'm looking for a stronger euro, and I still am, but that will also be kind of hinged on what this does specifically. If we start to kind of consolidate in here, then we'll see continuation to the upside on both Euro and GBP. But if this thing falls lower, we'll probably see a explosive move to the upside on British Pound and relatively light trading or consolidation to lower on Euro Dollar. But again, I'll update you guys on what I see. But as of right now, this thing definitely looks like we want to see lower prices. But we have had a nice move down, so we'll see if they kind of consolidate in here for a bit before continuing lower and give both Euro and Cable some kind of freedom to move on their own. And that's one of the reasons that I am looking at dollar CAD recently, is because for the most part it does look clear to me. Now, being honest, I did want to see them get back up into this bearish order block here in the 35s, potential 36s. We came all the way back above 34 big figure, rejected and sold off again. So I do like the fact that we're back within this candle. The only thing is I'm not too certain on what dollar index is doing right now. So if this is in fact a high, then we'll start targeting the lows down here. But as of right now, I'm seeing whether or not we can gain some strength and get a continuation to the upside, potentially up into the 35s. So one of the reasons I'm unclear on that is because of dollar index. So we do have FOMC and everything this week, so we'll see in terms of volatility and things like that what we get. But if we get back above here, 34.50s, we're more than likely going up into the 35.50s and 36s. So that'll be a nice little trade. But obviously we have to wait for the confirmation in order for us to step in. So if we do trade lower Monday and Tuesday, for example, and we get below 1.1280, I'll be seeing if we can have a willingness to get below 1.3150, and this will be my target on the week down here. So I'm willing to kind of wait before stepping in and doing anything, but I am more so on the kind of bench for dollar index. So it doesn't really mean I'm a strong buyer standpoint or a strong seller standpoint. I'm really kind of in the middle, which causes me to be sort of in the middle for this one as well. Now, Euro Dollar definitely looks like it could go higher. British Pound definitely looks like it can go higher. This I'm seeing both. So I do see that we, could potentially be retesting here and see, the market trade higher. But I also see it wanting to potentially trade lower. So that's why it is kind of contingent based on what dollar index specifically does. And sometimes if you guys feel like this and you feel like you don't necessarily know, what the market is actually doing specifically and what levels you should be looking for, all that, then you really just want to wait, right? So you don't want to be going in the markets trying to trade, nothing like that. You want to just wait and let the market prove to you what it's going to do and what levels it's reacting off of, and then you can go in and step in after you've had some, more conviction and clarity behind what you were looking for. So for me, I will more than likely be taking any trades this week on Tuesday because I do want to see how Monday's trading plays out. Unless something super clear sets up for tomorrow New York session, those of you in the premium group expect a signal to come through for that, but only if there's something clear, right? Obviously, I don't know whether or not that will be there yet, but based on last week, we caught just over 60 pips, so solid week last week on dollar CAD. We'll see if we can get some more pips out of this one here, but I definitely want to be a buyer of Euro above 1.1420 if we can get that expansion to the upside I'm looking for. That in itself will be a nice trade. So we'll see what we get in terms of all that, but that is really it for this week. So definitely want to be careful. We do have FOMC as mentioned Wednesday, so keep trading light. Focus on primarily trading Monday, Tuesday. Be out before New York close on Tuesday. And if you go back in the markets, make sure that you are, doing so after FOMC. So that is it for this week's weekly technicals. I will talk with you guys again next week on Sunday for the weekly technicals, and premium group I will talk to you guys on Tuesday in the live session inside of the Facebook group. So with that being said, you guys have a good trading week, and I'll talk to you soon.